Hi there, I am Matthias LaGuire, and today I'm going to be showing some long exposure photography. Some things that you might want to use, depending on what time of day you're doing it, is a neutral density filter, which you can see is pretty dark, and that helps to allow you to slow down your shutter speeds. Something else that is very important is using a tripod. This will keep your camera steady, prevent any kind of motion blur in your images, and you also need a camera. A digital SLR works out pretty well. Most of them have settings where you can change the ISO, shutter speed, and aperture fairly easily. This one can go from 1/8,000th of a second to stop action, and it goes all the way down to 30-second exposures. So for a lot of what I'm going to be doing today will be long exposure, about 30 seconds. Some of them might only be about 5 or 6, but most of them will be 30 seconds. Alright, so I have my camera set up behind me. It's getting darker out, and I'm ready to begin a 30-second exposure. My brother's across the river. He has some steel wool inside a wire whisk that he's going to light on fire, and he's going to spin it around in a circle. There he goes. So all those sparks are going to be captured by the camera because we're doing this long exposure, and I'll show you the resulting image right after we're done with this video clip here. Here's the first image we created. I was really happy with it, but I thought it was a little bit bright. So I closed down my aperture a little bit, and this is the result. I really liked the way the sparks were flying. I noticed that they were going up and they were hitting the bottom of the overpass. So I widened up for this shot some, and you can even see them shooting off to the sides outside of the supports. And then I asked my brother to move up closer in between the supports there. So this is what we got with those sparks just ricocheting all over the place. And then here I went with a vertical shot. I thought that that would look pretty cool with the reflection. And then for the final image, I really opened up my aperture all the way, and then I used some flashlights to illuminate the area. Here I have my camera set up on a tripod across the street from the courthouse. I will get some long exposure shots with the car lights trailing through the final image. It'd be nice if a police car or ambulance came by with their lights on, but we'll still get a nice image without that. Here's the first image I recorded. We had a 30-second exposure, and I had my aperture at f7.1. And then I went on and I kept it at 7.1. I did another one with some more cars driving by. I have some nice streaks there from the headlights and taillights as they went by. Then I thought it was a little bit dark, so I opened up my aperture to 3.5 for these next two images, and I was able to get a lot more light around the building itself, but the problem is then the car trails aren't as noticeable in these images. We're going to do something a little bit different using LED lights, flashlights. They work out pretty nice to light up something during a long exposure. If I were wearing all black, that would probably be the most ideal because I would show up a lot less. There's a lot of light coming from street lights around here, so I'm going to show up in the picture more than likely as a blur holding these lights, so check it out. Still doing an exposure?
It's done.
So just now. Okay, so this is an image without using the lights at all, and with the headlights on in the van. So you can see it's not lit very well. This is with using the flashlights to illuminate the van, and it really brings it out. I was just moving them around too much. Here I had nicer lines, but then I had that bad reflection up in the window. Sometimes it's just trial and error. And then this was with my brother and I both each using two flashlights, and we kind of got a little crazy with lines everywhere. Here is a picture of a creek with the water flowing, and I stopped the action quickly with a fast shutter speed. And using a neutral density filter, I was able to slow my shutter speed down, and you see that here in this image, and that gives the water a milky, surrealistic look that is a really cool thing you can do just by slowing down your shutter speed. Alright, so that was my tutorial for long exposure photography. Remember to always use a tripod. It's best if you use a DSLR camera, and if it's still pretty bright out, I would suggest using a neutral density filter. That would help for those last images there with the water to give it that milky look. So my suggestions are to begin with your lowest ISO setting, around 100, and then put your camera on 30-second exposure and then adjust the aperture from there. Experiment, see what works, and have fun. Great, thanks.